Well, hello everyone. Welcome once again to Hits and Misses. Today we have a special program, a special guest for you. My co-host Shirley too is away for a while, and I've asked a dear friend Rachael Strain to step in and have a conversation with me today. And Rachael, welcome. Welcome to Hits and Misses.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So before we begin, let's take a moment to pray, and then we're going to learn about Rachel's life.
Okay.
So, Father God in heaven, thank you so much that you love us. You love us so deeply that you sent your son to die for us, who rose again and now sits at your right hand, interceding for us, our lives, waiting to bring us to himself as his bride. Thank you, Lord, for this conversation that Rachael and I will have today. I pray that it's a blessing to many women who might be in similar circumstances and know that there is still life, there is still hope, that that's what Yeshua came, was for hope, that resurrection hope. To you, we just give all glory, honor, and praise, and thank you that the words that are spoken today are your words, that they're words of encouragement, edification, and exhortation. And to you, we give all glory, honor, and praise. Amen. I met you, my goodness, how many years ago has it been now? A few. I
Yeah.
think I think the first memory, well, I think the first outstanding memory I have of your husband's family was when we came to visit them for the very first time, and the boys, Ephraim and Joseph and Zeke, had built a homemade cannon, and they fired their cannon off as we drove into the front yard. So, but this is your story, and I'm just really excited that you wanted to share your story with all the listeners of Hits and Misses, because I think it's very important. So, tell us a little bit about who you are, your family. Give us a little bit of background before we go a little bit deeper.
Well, Caleb and I met when in the fall of 2011, and I guess he was interested in me right away, and took me a little bit longer, I guess, to be interested in him. But um, anyways, we started going together, and then we got married June 9th of 2012. And in that time, we bought our own property here in Corvallis and built a house. We bought bare land with a foundation on it and built our own home. And then when we moved in here, we had our oldest daughter, she had just turned 1. And in that time, since then, we've had 6 more to join us, and they've all been born here in our house. And yeah, I know we've done just a lot of traveling and took a lot of time to spend together, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, Caleb was one that he was a good hard worker, but he also took time to spend with his family. And I really appreciate that about him, especially now. You know, we didn't obviously know this was where we were going to be, but I'm glad we had that time to spend together. And yeah, we have six girls and 1 boy. The oldest will be 13 this summer, and the youngest just turned 2.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
So, a little bit background for our listeners. Your husband passed away sadly and tragically almost a year ago, correct?
correct, yes.
And he was 37, was it?
Yes,
Very young man.
yep,
With a life, a vibrant family life, young children, and a beautiful wife. And now you all are making a life without the man that you dearly love. So tell
Yeah.
me about that journey.
It's been a lot of ups and downs. Um, so it started, well, he had kidney failure. We knew that they were declining for the last close to 5 years, but they dropped really fast, and then they leveled out for a long time. For probably 4 years, they pretty much stayed the same, and then they just dropped again. So in May of 2024, he got a call from the doctor. We had gone in for a blood test, and the doctor said his kidneys were at 6%, and he needed to get to the emergency room immediately. So he went on dialysis. We spent a week in the hospital with a 7-week-old baby, and then went to the dialysis center for a month every day. He was preparing to do dialysis at home, so it was different than the hemo where they go in three days a week. And then it seemed to really help. And even that journey alone was a lot of ups and downs. He would do really, really well, and then have an episode where he would get really sick. And I know one evening he was not doing well at all, and actually a guy that he had worked for probably a month before had just found out his situation. And he called him that night and asked if he could come over and pray for him. And so he did. And before we went to bed that night, we both could tell a huge difference in how he was feeling. His heart had been pounding really, really strong, like hard. And before, when we went to bed, it was much better than it had been. And then April of 2025, something happened. I don't know what it was, but he just had a little episode where he did not feel good. And from then on, he just kind of continued to go downhill. In May, he quit working the end of May last year. And then he passed away in June, on June 22nd, just a couple weeks after our anniversary. And, it was a shock. Some people could see it coming, I guess, but I just figured that we would make it through like we did many other downhill times that we had. And so, yeah, I don't know. At first, it seemed like it was real busy and kept our minds occupied, I guess. A lot of people in and out, and I don't know. It was good and bad. It was nice to just look forward to some family time, but it was nice to have the busyness too. And there were times that you could see, okay, the kids we need to go away and just have some time on our own. And it went pretty well until probably the fall. Then I guess reality started hitting, and some of the kids especially really had a really hard time. And we do homeschool, which I'm very thankful for, because I can't imagine having to send them to a public school amidst all of this. And when school was frustrating, it would just bring out all the frustrations that were held inside. And for me personally, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I feel like I handled it okay, but with them too, I was not only handling my own grief, but theirs also. And that was probably more of a challenge than handling my own. But I
So
guess
what did you do for your children to help them then to process their grief?
just be sure and take time to spend with them, which is what they needed. It was just one-on-one time. They, in a family of 6 siblings, you don't get a chance to just be away and have your own space and own time. So we'd spend a lot of late nights with whoever it was that needed it, and either just talk or just sit together. And then I got to where I would take just one of them and we'd go to town and just have a special date and go get a fun drink or something special to where they could just get away and have some quiet time. And I know for me, I needed that too on my own, just quiet time where you didn't have to talk to anybody or, really pay attention to everything that was going on.
So, what would you say to people who want to be supportive in situations like this, but maybe don't quite know how or what to do? Do you have some suggestions for, like me? I would want to come and help in some manner, but what would be, from your perspective, best received?
Probably just taking time to sit and listen and, um, yeah, I guess just kind of give yourself grace too. I know one of my daughters especially, she was very angry at God. And I told her, I said, I think that's okay for a time, but
Yeah,
you can't let it live in you.
right.
So I think it's a natural thing to have an anger reaction, but
Yes.
you need to learn to overcome that.
The first stage of grief is anger.
Yeah.
Well, it's denial, then anger.
Hmm.
It's hard to believe something like that happened. You don't want to
Yeah.
believe it happened. And then
Right.
you're angry because it did happen.
Yeah.
But so back to my wondering, you had, I imagine, after Caleb's passing, you had a lot of family and friends that came to your house
Yes.
and wanted to help you. Did that get overwhelming?
Um, it's almost more overwhelming now than it was then, I guess, because it seems even now, and I hate to say that, I really appreciate that time. And I appreciate people thinking of us and um but yes, it can get overwhelming.
So what would you like people to do now? What would you like them to think about now?
I would say probably more than anything, just more the schedules are what I have a hard time with. Like, be here at this time, or we'll come to you at this time. It's nice when people just kind of drop by,
Uh-uh.
and or people will bring a meal or something, and that is really helpful. And I guess maybe just don't be afraid to reach out and say, what do you need, rather than just
Oh,
assuming you're taken care of, or assume you're over it and you don't want anything now. There's a fine line, and I suppose for everybody it may be different. But
that's wise. That's wise counsel for all of us out here to sometimes we think, well, I think you would like this, and we'd
mhm,
go do it, and that might not be what you need at all. So
yeah,
actually asking you, taking into account your schedule, your routine, your needs, finding out what those are, that would be more beneficial than just dropping off a sack of potatoes when maybe five people earlier did the same thing.
right. And I know one with having 7 kids, everybody assumes, oh, well, she needs clothes. We'll buy clothes for the kids and we'll buy toys for the kids. And that's not helpful at this moment for me. For some people, it maybe they do need that. But we've done a lot of thrift shopping and we have a lot of hand me downs, and clothing and toys are not what we need right now. But so many people, oh, well, we want to be sure that your kids have clothes. And well, I thank you, but we're set there. We don't need that
So
right
the
now.
bottom line is don't guess,
Yep.
ask.
Yeah.
Communicate with me. It's called communication, right?
Yep.
Just communicate with me. So take me through how you work this out with God.
It's been hard. And I guess I didn't feel like I was mad at God, but I did have a hard time praying, or especially if someone else were sick. It's hard to pray for healing for them. Not that you don't want them to heal, but well, I asked for that and it didn't happen, and I guess that can be hard to accept. Um, but yeah, I know there's a lot of people praying for me. And we've also done something called an emotion code. I don't know if you've heard of that,
Say
but that
again.
emotion code,
No, you tell me about it.
it's hard for me to explain. I don't fully understand, but it works with the energies and frequencies in our body, which a lot of people will turn away from and say, oh, well, that's evil and you can't use that. But God did make our bodies with energy and frequencies.
Yes, he did.
They can be balanced. And he has taught people how they can do that as long as you use it in the correct way that he intended it to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that helped a lot.
Okay.
For the girls, they would have a hard time.
We have another one with us this morning. What's your name?
This is Jordan.
Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Jordan must be what, 2 or 3?
Too, yep.
2. Cutie. Okay. Hi, Jordan. You're going to help Mama. That's good. I like that. So this then it's a therapy that you've engaged with?
Yeah, and like with the kids, they would be having a hard time with school. And so if I could call and get an appointment for them the next day, I could tell a huge difference the next day. And like I said,
Okay.
I can't explain it. I have a hard time explaining how this works. It's science that goes beyond my head. But I said I can see the result, and it really does help.
It's working, it's helping you cope.
Yeah, and it helps. One of the things that came up on mine was no will to let go. And that was something I hadn't really thought of, that I was hanging on and not wanting to let go. But I said, well, that it does make sense that you don't
Yeah,
want to let go and move on.
sure. Right, right. Yeah. I remember back when not losing a spouse, but my mom passed away in 1999 and it was a wrongful death. But before she passed, I had a conversation with her, and out of that conversation, I became just, it was startling actually, aware that my mother's issues weren't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that kind of a revelation, it allows you to have freedom from, whatever was holding you back. And I would imagine that when you realized you had this non-willingness to let go, there was a certain amount of freedom in realizing that you could let go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I know I had a friend too that her husband's been dealing with health issues. And so we've talked a certain amount, and she asked me at one point, she said, how do you deal with it when you feel like you may be losing your best friend slash husband? And that's a really good question, but honestly, I don't know that there's an answer. And I think that's okay too, that you need to realize there really is no answer. There's not a, oh, do this and everything will be fine. It's
Yeah,
a process that you kind of
yeah,
have to work through, and yeah.
yeah. I think we all have, in situations like this, at some point you get to that place where you say, like Job, even though you slay me, I'm still going to trust you, God.
Yeah.
Because we don't understand. I don't understand, why your husband was taken from you at such an early age and left you with 7 children to raise. We don't know that answer. but we
Mhm.
have to rely on the fact that he's still God of gods, King of kings, that he's still on the throne. He's still the creator of the universe. He still holds us in the palm of his hand, and know that one day we'll have an answer. It's right now we just have to trust that he still has us. And
Yeah.
because if you do anything other than that, the devil will take advantage of that and start really creating hardships and wreaking havoc in your life with all kinds of doubts and I would imagine hatred probably could enter in there as well. You know, God, you're so unfair. I can't trust you anymore. I hate you, kind of thing. So it's very, very significant that you work with your children through these feelings and say, okay, we can be angry at God now, but we can't let that anger linger forever. We
Yeah.
have to resolve that anger. Is that where you feel that you and your family are moving towards the the resolving of the anger, the you'll never get over the missing, I suppose. He's
Yeah.
part of your life. You were one, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I do. I feel like we are gaining ground for sure. I mean, yeah, there for a while it was an everyday thing, and they didn't seem to come out of it. You know, we could have our talk and they would enjoy that, but they didn't come out of it. Where now we do. We can be happy and we can laugh together. And I know that last night in the hospital, there was a lady that I follow on YouTube, Linnell Gordon, and I was feeling very hopeless, and I was praying for someone to bring me hope. And her, she does a little daily devotional, just like 2 3 minutes a day, and her focus that day was Psalm 40 verse 1, and it says, "I put my hope in Yahovah, and He inclined toward me and heeded my cry." And it's not the hope that I thought was going to be, but I can still go to that verse and say, well, I know there's hope in Him.
Yeah, he's this one who sustains us. Just
Mm.
think if think of the people who don't have a relationship like you have and how difficult going through something like this would be for them.
Yeah, yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, you've done an amazing job with your children. I talk with your mother-in-law frequently, and she's just, well, you know, she's grieving too. It was her son, but your husband, the father of your children, and your whole family is in our prayers daily, all of you. And I know that me and my husband, we visited with you and Caleb just a few months before all of
Yeah,
this. And I didn't have any sense at all that this was going to happen in the next few months. It seemed like you both were upbeat and happy, and you'd found, I believe, a new doctor, a new course of treatment, and it seemed like it was going well. And when I heard that Caleb had passed, it was a shock to me,
yeah, yeah.
very much so, a big shock. But so if there's any piece of counsel or advice that you could pass on to someone else who's maybe in a similar situation, either looking at the imminent death of a loved one or a loved one that's passed and they're still working through it, is there anything that you would like to say to them in way of encouragement or edifying or exhorting them in any way?
I mean, I guess I'm still working through it myself, so I don't feel like I have great words of wisdom, but I guess just keep putting your hope in God. and be patient with yourself and give yourself time. Don't don't feel like you have to hurry up and heal from it. I think it's a long process,
It
and
is.
you and it's a but at the same time, don't feel guilty over being happy either. I think
That's
some
very
people
good.
look at that and say, well, I can't be happy, or that means I'm not missing them. And that's not true either. And I know that Caleb wanted us to be happy and to move on, and he did tell me that before. He said, I want you to keep going and be happy.
That probably is the best piece of advice anyone could hear from you is, don't get stuck down in the whirlpool,
Yep.
but live the life that you know your mate would have wanted you to live, a
Yep.
happy life and raise happy children. And you do this. I see the pictures when a birthday comes up and you post pictures of them with their daddy and with you and activities that they're doing, and that's just awesome, and you just keep that memory alive and the happiness going, and we'll continue to pray for your family. And now that other people know your story or some of your story, I encourage everyone else to pray for Rachael and her family, Rachael and her 7 children. She's an amazing woman, and I'm so pleased that you decided to spend a little bit of time with me and the others on Hits and Misses today. You are definitely an encouragement. As I've watched your walk through this past year, you have been steadfast and strong, even though I knew there were times when you didn't feel strong. But that's when the old song says, when we're weak, Yahweh's strong,
Yep.
that or the footprints in the sand when you only see one set of footprints. Have you experienced him carrying you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does do that, doesn't he?
Yep.
Picks you up and carries you because you're like, man, I can't do it. And he said, I'll take you. I'll take you. So all these words of encouragement. So, Father God, thank you for this time that we were able to share. I just pray that this conversation between Rachael and myself is an encouragement for many, whether they are in a similar situation as Rachael or just something to tuck in the back of their mind in the event that for maybe later down the road, even an end of life scenario when you're old like me. It's good to keep in mind these things. So, Rachael, just God bless you. Continue to hold you in the palm of his hand, watch over you, supply your every need. And may your children just grow up to be wonderful jewels in the crown of Yahweh's kingdom.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. You're a blessing.
Right. Thank you.